Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, guilty, or questioning yourself when all you did was trying to get truth behind the conversation? If so, you may not be sensitive. You may have been dealing with the manipulator. And I want to talk about this because I'm going to show you the techniques that manipulators use and how they operate and why they do it. I'm also, most importantly, going to show you how to protect yourself and your peace without arguing with a manipulator, begging, or even just over explaining yourself. You have to stop doing that or you're going to be exhausted. Stay with me so I can get you to understand the technique that manipulators use. Okay? So you would love Dr. Pamela. Thank you for joining me. We're doing another talk where I'm going to help you find love, get love, keep love. Thank you for being a part and subscribing. And keep hitting that like button and subscribing. Make sure you continue those comments. I love it and I appreciate it. It really helped me bring these talks that I'm bringing you to help you deal with people that you bring into your life, or just on a journey of just having friendships or relationships. So thank you for joining me. So let's get right into this because I wanted to help you understand what manipulators using. Now, I know there's a lot of people that talk about it, but the way I'm going to talk about it is totally different what you're getting. Because sometimes people just trying to tell you who they are and sugarcoat. Let's go right into the difference in various things that you may not have thought you were being manipulated. Because manipulated is not about them being loud or aggressive or even being obvious when they do it. Sometimes you don't even recognize that you're being manipulated. Manipulated. So a manipulator now is someone who uses an indirect emotion tactic. Okay? So like they use guilt, confusion, fear, obligation, control the conversation or the outcome, or and don't take no responsibility. This is a manipulator. So they don't ask clearly. They don't communicate honestly. They try to influence your emotions, your family emotions. They try to use a lot of psychological conversations on you. Okay? And so here's the key point of what I'm saying manipulators do. A manipulator's point is to control you, not connect with you. Do you understand? And this is what you're not getting about a manipulator, and you continue to deal with this type of person. They're trying to control you, and they're trying to control what? The outcome. On who behalf and benefit? Theirs. So let me show you some of the techniques of why manipulators, first off, why do they exist? Let's talk about that for a minute. Why do manipulators exist? Manipulation doesn't come from confidence. It comes from fear. Manipulators are fear. They fear being abandoned. They fear being rejected. They fear losing power. They fear learning how to be honest. They fear a whole lot of things. They fear not being safe. I could go on and on. So instead of expressing their needs directly, they engineer how they get what they want on the basis of an outcome. So I give you an example. They don't say, I'm afraid you'll leave me. They said, I'm afraid you'll leave me. Are you with me? They use these words to make you feel like you are the cause of something. Another one, they might say, if you love me, you wouldn't do this. What? That's manipulation. They're using the emotions to get you to give them the outcome of what they're trying to do. Okay? And they use fear a lot of time, and they use different tactics on you. So you really have to pay attention to a manipulator. So let me give you some of the techniques that you need to really recognize about a manipulator. And I believe no one is given the technique of it. They may talk about a manipulator, but you need to know techniques of what are they using to manipulate you. And you pass it because it's easy, I'm telling you. It is so easy to get manipulated if you don't learn this, if you don't pay attention, if you don't recognize what's happening, you will be manipulated within your relationships or even friendship. And you got to know when it's happening. So let's go into it. One of the things they do is they gaslight you, right? And if you don't understand that, that's somebody who just not dealing with reality. They'll say things like, they'll throw words out like you hurt me. Or that never happened. You're just imagining things. Everything they believe is true, but what you say is not. Are you with me? So over time, you stop trusting your own thought process, your own memory, because they're making you believe that what is happening is not real. Do you understand? And that's gaslighting you. So you really have to pay attention, okay? Another thing is they use guilt trip on you. They'll use a guilt trip on you quickly because they're trying to control your emotions, okay? Because they're not even responsible for their emotions, but they're trying to control your emotions. You understand here where I'm going? So if you say no, they'll say, wow, I guess it just doesn't matter to you. What? No, it's just a no. Why it has to be something into it? They don't know how to accept no. You got me? So now you're managing your feelings instead of, dealing with your boundaries, okay? So you have to pay attention of the guilt trip. I remember I had a friend that would send me a text. And if I didn't respond to the text would say, I was trying to tell you something. Okay, I just didn't see your text. You understand? And that is a form of guilt trip because you didn't do something they wanted you to do at that moment because you're not dealing with their emotions at that time. Okay. Another one is they withhold affection. They withhold affection. Their love becomes currency. And so they only love you on the basis of something. And you know how I always say that. And I say something because it's never one thing. And that's why I say something. Because it could be whatever you see that they're withholding. It could not just be currency. What we say with money, it could be something else. Okay. And so like for instance, after you have a disagreement with them and you don't agree with something, they'll go cold on you, right? And then there's no call, there's no warmth, there's no reassurance. And then you apologize just to feel safe again. What you apologizing for? And you weren't even wrong. So you apologizing because they withholding their affection and you up there apologizing for something they did. That's a technique they're using. And you falling for it. You don't see it. It's easy. It's easy that it happens. Let me give you another one that they do. They play the victim. Now, most of you all sometimes know that a manipulator will play the victim. A lot of time, they're going to flip the situation on you. And they're the victim of what has taken place. And then you express concern about it, and then they cry, shut down, say everyone's always attacking them. What? That's manipulation. You didn't think it was. You just think they just whining and crying, and suddenly you comforting them because you feel hurt for them, or you think you hurt them by the way they acting by crying and shutting down and acting a fool. That's manipulation. That's a technique. Let me give you another technique they use. They will have fake future things. Like they'll promise you they'll change to keep you hooked. Now, I was involved one of them. They give you these stories and keep telling you about what they gonna do. I can't stand a going to. Going to. Telling you they going to. That's manipulation. Next month is different. Next time is different. I'm working on it. I just need time. This is happening in my life. They give you all kind of excuses. And they're faking the future. They're not about to do anything. They getting ready to be and stay where they at. Ain't nothing about to change. If you look up and look around, months have passed and nothing, I promise you, has changed. And it's all about keeping you in a place of hope, but they trying to keep you stuck on them. So they got to manipulate you by making you think they're going to do something. You got to pay attention to that. I had to end a relationship on that because manipulation was at an all-time high. And I had to realize, I already knew I was in it, but I said, I got to stop. You know, so it's just, you just got to shut it down. And I shut it down. I'm not getting to go through this no more. Another technique they use is being dishonest sometimes. They got selective truth. They'll tell you part of the truth. Not the whole story. They'll tell you part of it. And then you later realize that the key information that they gave you was hidden. This is real talk. And then just enough to control your decision that you would have made. Are you with me? That's that quick. That's a powerful technique that they use. Now, we're talking about a manipulator in relationships. Now, understand, this is about manipulators in relationships and what they're doing. Okay? The next one, they're blaming you. They shift the blame on you. They avoid accountability. I told you most personalities and behaviors of people are based on lack of accountability. A manipulator don't want to be accountable. If you didn't react that way, I wouldn't have done that. What? That's manipulation. So you have to know how to defend yourself when somebody is trying to avoid accountability. You have to instead address the behavior. Don't accept somebody trying to blame you for something that you wasn't a part of. Make them accountable when they treat you like that. That's a technique they use all the time. Another technique they use, and I tell you, this one is a trip, is when they intimidate you. That's the biggest one that is used on most people. It's intimidation. Sometimes it can be subtle, sometimes it's direct. But that intimidation is based on their tone, their silence, their angers, their threats. And it's a form of intimidation. That's the biggest one that manipulators use as a technique. If you stop speaking up, not because you agree, but because you're not worth the emotional fallout. And you have to know when you're being intimidated. And that's one of the biggest things that is used on a person. That's one of their main techniques. See, the cost of you staying with a manipulator, and let me get you to understand, the cost of you staying with a manipulator over time, and I've been there, done it. And the cost of doing this, you doubt yourself, you over-explain, you walk on eggshells, you feel emotionally drained, you lose clarity and confidence about what's happening in situations. Manipulators, if you don't focus on it, will control that. Now, one thing you can't do is manipulate me. What happened in my relationship, I allowed the manipulation to a point because I laughed because I always knew it was manipulation. And they never got what they want. So we always had clashing heads because I already knew it was manipulation and it wasn't going to happen. So you got to stop asking if something is healthy. You know it's not healthy. You got to start asking, how do I keep the peace? You know, I talk about this. You have to keep peace in your relationships, because that's a danger when you are in an unhealthy emotional situation. You understand? So you have to know what to do. Now, there could be some benefits of dealing with a manipulator. Don't get me wrong. There are some benefit. But this isn't about excusing them. This is understanding the lesson of what they're showing you, because they're teaching you how to recognize a manipulator because they're revealing what it is. Pay attention to the techniques they use. But they're going to reveal where your boundaries are weak. If you pay attention, they will show you where you're weak as an individual. Yes, yes, yes. The benefit of somebody manipulating you will show you your weakness. They'll teach you how to emotionally deal with your emotions. Yes, they will. They'll force you to detach from approval. And then they also will sharpen your ability to read actions quickly without words. So that a manipulator can teach you some things if you're paying attention. When you stop reacting emotionally, the power fades with a manipulator. Don't act emotionally with a manipulator. The way you deal with a manipulator, and I mean, this is how you're going to deal with a manipulator effectively. You have to name and say something about the behavior, not the emotion. You have to let them know when they're trying to guilt trip you. Tell them what it feels like. Are you with me? Let them know you trying to guilt trip me. I'm not finna fall. I'm not finna deal with that. Stop over-explaining yourself. You don't have to explain anything to manipulate it, because you already know that they are doing some type of manipulation on you. And they're trying to get some leverage. So why no? Don't explain nothing. If a no is a no is a no. You don't need to explain a no. I remember my son would ask me something and I would say no. And then he'll ask me why I said no. And I said, and this is exactly why I got to explain my no. A no is a no. I don't need to explain a no, why I said no. No is no. You understand where I'm going? Stop over-explaining yourself to someone that you know is trying to manipulate to get what they want. The other one is set your boundaries, because there's consequences with that. You don't want threats in it and decision. You got to make a decision on something. No. Set your boundaries. Detach from their reaction. Don't get caught up and get discomfort on the basis of how they're treating you wrong. Detach from it. Don't engage. Just smile and keep it moving. But the one thing you got to do, people, and I'm telling you about manipulate, you got to watch their patterns. You got to watch their patterns. You got to watch what they keep doing. I promise you, the patterns never lie. Pay attention to it. Pay attention. I talk about this all the time. Pay attention. It will not lie to you. Because the moment you stop arguing, they lose control. When you stop, the silence, it stops. Because manipulation can't take place if you don't argue with them, if you don't entertain them. You got to learn to detach. Stop. And when you say no, no means no. Stop over-explaining. So if this video hit close to home, if you hear this clearly to what I just taught you, if you were not weak, you were trusting, you were hoping for honesty, this is what you had in a relationship with a manipulator. But healing is not about confronting or fixing a manipulator, because you're not trying to fix them. This is about rebuilding self-trust. This is about building your boundaries. This is about having emotional clarity. This is what this is about. And if you've been manipulated, and I'm telling you, if you've been manipulated and you really truly need some help and you've been getting second guessed about who you are yourself, I invite you to book a consultation with me. There's a link in the description below. Reach out to me and I would love to help you through this situation, because everything about manipulation is to help you understand the patterns of a manipulator. And you have to restore your confidence. You gotta build strong confidence, and you have to have boundaries. You have to learn how to have boundaries, and you have to help yourself move forward from people that make you feel guilty and confused. You understand? So you don't need to relieve the pain, and you need to heal from it. You got to heal from people. You need a strategy to remove yourself from someone that takes your clarity, that takes your peace. And you got to choose yourself. Okay? So you've been with Love Doctor. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back talking to you what? About more what? Love, love, love.